that's really the most important part, is the insulin, keeping insulin levels low. Because insulin is a growth hormone, and insulin is, these cancer cells require the insulin. They require the insulin because they require the insulin for the glucose to help bring it in their cells. So if you can keep your insulin requirements and insulin stimulation very low, which is easy to do if you're following a ketogenic diet, especially a plant-based. And why do I say especially a plant-based? I say that, I'm Jewish, I'm gonna answer my own questions, okay? Just get over it. I say that because animal protein stimulates insulin. So that was interesting for me to learn about, because I started into this keto, doing ketogenic diets with my patients, and I just thought carbohydrates stimulated insulin, and high ketone levels ultimately will stimulate insulin to reduce the ketones so you don't go into ketoacidosis. But animal protein stimulates insulin, even fish, even eggs. And if you look at, there are graphs of how much insulin, or how insulinemic, or how insulin producing are foods. There's graphs, and you'll see that like peanut butter produces a lot less insulin for the same amount of protein than a tuna steak or a beef steak. And so animal protein stimulates a lot more insulin than plant protein. So if we're trying to keep and that's one reason why a plant-based ketogenic diet, especially for cancer, is better. Another reason that it's better is that when you cook animal protein on fire, which is how a lot of people like to cook their animal protein, as opposed to stewing, like in water. If it's in water, it's a different story. But if it's grilled and barbecued, which is how most people like to cook their meat and fish, you're creating something called heterocyclic amines, which are carcinogenic in their own right. But ketones starve cancer cells of adequate glucose. If you're predominantly fueling yourself, and it's never 100%, and that's involved biochemistry, but if you're predominantly burning fatty acids and ketones, you're gonna starve your cancer cells of adequate food. That's a good thing. Ketones happen to be a more efficient fuel because there's less steps to get the ketones into the mitochondria, into the cell to the mitochondria. There's more ATP production, which is the fuel, and there's less ROS, reactive oxygen species. So reactive oxygen species are just a byproduct of burning oxygen, right? We have to have oxygen. So there's always gonna be some ROS. And there's a delicate balance between ROS and antioxidants, and we produce our own antioxidants, right? And so, but if you can have a lot of energy and produce half the amount of reactive oxygen species, there's gonna be less damage to the mitochondria anyway, just by doing that. So it's very protective. And we know from studies with MS and with other degenerative neurological diseases that ketones are neuroprotective. And it turns on more antioxidants. You actually require less antioxidants, and your CoQ10 levels are better. Your requirement for vitamin C is lowered because those things are required for scavenging the reactive oxygen species. So I'm not gonna get into all the biochemistry. I don't wanna lose you guys on that. What you just need to know is that there's a lot of good things that happen when you start fueling, when you become fat adapted and start fueling your body and your brain with ketones and fats.
Thanks for watching. We hope you liked today's video. Make sure to head over to our website to keep reading more interesting science-based articles about your health and how to stay cancer-free.
Just click on the link right here on the screen and make sure to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any new videos. Thanks for watching.